Hi, welcome to Bike Bible with me, John. Today's video is going to be about noisy bikes, diagnostics and solutions. Hello and welcome to this video on noisy bikes, how to diagnose where a problem comes from and how to solve it. So a little insight behind why this came about. On the Bike Bible forums, for example, we get quite a lot of questions basically on why my bike is making this unnecessary noise, like be it a clicking noise, a rubbing noise, squeaky and so forth. I don't like this garage. But yeah, the main thing is there is quite a lot of components that can be causing an issue with your bicycle at any given point. So what I set to do with these videos is state all the areas where noises may occur that aren't supposed to be there and how to solve them issues. This will be a 3-video sort of series, if you like, on this issue alone, and we're going to cover the front end with this video first, followed by the middle section of a bicycle and all its problems in the second video, and then following up with the rear end of the bike and all its issues on the third and final video. So without further ado, we're going to go straight to the bike and I'm going to talk you through them issues. Okay, so our first component to get our attention will be the stem. So the scenario will be, as you're applying pressure to your cranks at a certain point within the pedal stroke, you'll notice a creaking noise. And you can encounter this either on just one side of the cranks as you're applying pressure, but sometimes both sides. This problem makes you think that it might be a bottom bracket issue, but can also be to do with your stem as well. As you apply pressure on one side of your body, you'll be gripping the bars and applying pressure with your other side of your body with your hands on the bars, and it creates a flexing. So to rectify this problem, what you can do is remove the bolts from the stem, clean up the threads on the bolts itself and inside of the stem as well, apply grease to the threads, threaded area on your stem, only around the threaded parts on your stem, and then reapply your bolts to the set torque that is stated by your stem manufacturer for the pressure that you put through that bolt. Okay, so going on to problem area number 2 is going to be the expander bung inside of your fork, for carbon forks, might I state. So the scenario is, as you're transferring weight from the front of the bike to the rear, or vice versa as well, usually when you're getting out of saddle, or if you're going along uneven surface as well, you'll hear kind of what sounds like either a snapping noise or a very sharp creaking noise. This is usually to do with the inside of your steerer bung, your expander bung, actually starting to dry up with the old copper grease that's inside of there. So to rectify this issue, you'll need to gain access to the expander bung, clean the expander bung of any previous grease whatsoever, included the threaded parts as well. It's always good to re-top up this area at the same time. Reapply grease to the actual expander bung for the threaded parts, normal grease, and then you need to add copper grease to the inside of the forks where the expander bung will be gripping onto it the most. Reapply everything as per normal and make sure to be looking at the torque settings stated by your frame manufacturer for what is to be used with your forks as well. Okay, so moving on to our next area, it's to do primarily with the headset. So the scenario that you'll be coming across is you'll also feel this as well, but basically it's when you're going over uneven ground and you're coming across kind of like a juddery sort of sound. and basically this is down to the top cap not being tight enough to compress the stem down and give the right sort of pressure to your headset bearings. To rectify this problem, what you need to do is loosen off the clamping bolts for your stem around the fork, tighten down on your top cap for your forks, so just enough so that you remove any sort of play inside of the play for the actual headset bearings. You'll feel it when the bike's on the ground for this. Tighten up your clamping area, again making sure that you're looking at the specifications for the torque set by your manufacturer of the stem, and then this will eradicate that sort of issue. Okay, so there's a few scenarios to cover with brakes, so I'll try my best to simplify basically all the issues that can happen with your brakes themselves. Scenario number one, as you're applying pressure to your front brake, you'll hear like a thudding noise. That thudding noise might be causing issues with the actual headset. So again, I've already covered the headset. That's another issue that can arise. Also, it's worth noting as well that sometimes this retaining bolt at the back might not actually be tight enough, and it's causing the brake caliper to dip down and then come back up again when you let go of the brakes themselves. But obviously that thud will be as this brake area or the braking system divots down entirely. So to rectify that, all you need to do is tighten up on the retaining bolt or the retaining screw located just behind here, and then once you tighten that up, that should eliminate any issues with that. Make sure as well to straighten out the alignment of your brakes at the same time as doing this. Sometimes you also get rubbing as well through when the wheel is in motion, and you'll hear it kind of speed up and slow down when you're applying pressure to your brakes a little tiny bit, or in severe cases it might be to do with every time you just get moving along. This will be down to basically a buckled wheel. So at this point in time, what you need to do is true your spokes to make sure that your wheel is perfectly straight, and this will in due course obviously remove the rubbing sound at the same time. If you're not competent to basically sort a buckle out for yourself, make sure you go to a professional who is capable of truing wheels for you, and this issue will obviously be eradicated as well. Okay, so we're onto another problem area with wheels, and the scenario is that as you're cycling along, you'll hear like a high-pitched dinging noise as you're applying either a great amount of pressure to your pedals, or your body weight goes forward as well, or you could be going over bumpy terrain, or even worse in severe cases when the bike is just in motion with you on it. And to sum things up, it's usually down to the play in the actual spokes, the grinding. They're usually either grinding against each other if your spokes cross over each other, or it's down to just the play that you get inside of the actual spokes as well. To remedy this, you'd need to make sure that you reset the pressure to each of the spoke nipples, and if you're not comfortable with truing your own wheels, basically again you'd need to seek out the services of a professional who's trained to do so. Okay, so we're going to concentrate next on the hubs. The scenario is as you're riding along and you're transferring weight from either the front to the rear of the bike or vice versa, or if you're cornering, you'll hear like a knocking noise or a thud noise. This will be to do either with the cone nuts not being tight enough or your quick release not being tight enough as well. Obviously, to remedy this is fairly straightforward. All you need to do is make sure that your cone nuts for your hubs are tightened down properly and accordingly. Not fully tight, firm, but not tight. And you need to make sure that your quick release is also going to be tight enough as well. Make sure with your actual skewers as well to just put a little divot of grease, or lube on the inside of there as well. Sometimes you do get a little bit of a jittery sound coming from inside that region as well. Okay, so we're on to our last part to look at now with your front hubs, and that is to do with valves. So the scenario of this will be you're riding along, and when you go over any bumpy terrain, you'll hear a knocking noise very similar to this. Hopefully you can hear that. But yeah, a quick remedy to this will be to, if you've got valves with threads on them going all the way down the valve itself, just attach the nut onto there and that will eliminate it. Or if you don't have a valve with any threading on it, make sure you apply a very gentle amount of electrical tape just around where the valve is going to be in contact with the exiting part of the valve hole on your rim. Once you've done this, it will solve that rattling. Okay, so that is our first video complete now on irritating noises and how to solve them. As I said, this is going to be a 3-part video, so there's going to be a part 2 with the middle section of the bike and a part 3 with the rear section of the bike as well. And if I was to try and combine all this into one video, it would go on for far too long, so I thought it'd be best to simplify things and section everything off instead. There's going to be other areas as well on even the front end where you might get irritating noises from, and these are things that I will address in future videos as well, past this initial 3, when they become known to me, basically. So basically, yeah, it's a minefield when it comes to all this, but we will get through all of them eventually. If you've got any suggestions for the first part and also for the middle section of the bike as well and the rear, feel free to comment away down below or mention it in the forum as well. I'd like to thank you for watching. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so just by clicking on the subscribe button down below this video, and click the bell as well to get alerts of when new videos and content arises on this channel. Also join our Facebook group as well to join in any sort of bike banter at all and other cycle related topics as well. And yeah, again, thank you so much for watching. I've been John, you've been watching Bike Bible, and catch you for the next video as well.